All right, rock and roll. Welcome to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I'm your host, John. And if you could kindly hit that like and subscribe button. We talk about the day's events. We talk about what's going on in the world of politics there. And if you're really feeling risque, if you want to live on the edge a little, hit that notifications button, okay? And if you're really out there, really living it, go ahead and leave a comment. Now, I would say that this is a little different political podcast. I'm not putting up with too much BS here, so make sure you talk to your cardiologist first, okay? I don't want to be responsible for any heart failure. Just saying, okay? With that said, we welcome saint, sinner, friend, and foe. Everybody's welcome here. And if you disagree with me, I guess instinctively you're wrong. You know, don't worry. Just listen enough, and you'll see the light, right? All right. Usually we start out with a little story or two. You know, I don't really feel like a story today. I met with super producer Stacy, and I'm telling you, literally, when I become president in 4 years, I am going to make a law. I'm against the death penalty, but people who talk in a restaurant on their cell phone, on speaker, and have a conversation, those people are going to the front of the line. Actually, I am totally against deporting people without due process, but those people, I'm rounding them up. We're going into restaurants, we're going into fast food establishments, and anybody in there who's doing that, they're going straight to San Salvador. Sorry. It's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against everything. I'm sorry. I don't care about the other stuff, right? All right. We're taking no prisoners, telling no lies. And today we have the results of the Canadian election. And they had two candidates, the Conservative and the Liberal. And to give you a little backdrop, the Conservative Party was very, very tied into Donald Trump and his election in 2024. In December, they had anywhere between a 25 and a 30-point lead, which is just astronomical, right? They had had over 10 years of a Liberal administration. The constituents of the country, the Canadian citizens, I think wanted to go in a different way. It's inevitable, right? You're going to get a little angry. But as Trump was going through his transition period, I never really thought about that. Him going through his transition. Is he transgender? Was he politically transgender? He's going through that transition period between November and January 20th. I don't know. God, I'm not sure what gender he'd be. It'd be he, she, or just ugly. I think I'll opt for the last one. So, as he started talking about picking on Canada, who has honestly been our best neighbor, our most strident ally for literally the last 60 years, he started picking on them, saying they weren't paying the right amount. The Conservative Party, Polve, started falling in the polls. And Mark Carney started to move up. And we had a neck-and-neck thing. And then Trump, ever the astute human being, decided to double down the day before the election. Now, we as Americans kind of think it's cute, this whole, 51st state. He has talked about annexing Canada, making them the 51st state. And I want you to try and get a perspective from the Canadians. Can you imagine yourself if China was incredibly stronger than us, and they started floating the idea, hey, we're gonna annex the entire United States into a province of China? How we would feel. Our national pride would well up, and we would be very ambivalent to that. We'd be actually pretty goddamn pissed off. And justifiably so. You're telling a people who've had their own independence for over 150 years that, hey, you're going to be a state. You're not going to have any autonomy. We are going to tell you what happens. That's a pretty bold move. But Trump doubled down on Monday, and here is what we got. Let's see. Hold on a second, you little rascals. I'm going to get you there. Don't you fret. I'm good. All right, let's go.
What Trump is saying on Canada's election day. Yeah, President weighing into Election Day in Canada. But just for context, we have seen American politicians publicly endorse Canadian leaders in the past through.
This is a Canadian broadcaster, and he's trying to actually walk the line that, yeah, there's been presidents who endorsed one candidate or another, but they weren't talking about taking over the entire country. Let's continue.
Their social media accounts. Of course, that's raised questions of election interference or meddling. So in the grand scheme of things, it isn't out of the ordinary. And
this guy is trying to be nice. Wrong. It is out of the ordinary to say, I want to take over your country and make you a bloody state.
President Donald Trump is injecting himself into Canada's election with a bit of trolling. Now, he didn't.
I wonder, since he's injecting himself into it, can he be charged with sexual assault? Just a thought.
Specifically endorse any candidate by name. Instead, he chose to push his 51st state nonsense on his social media site.
You know things are going bad when the broadcaster is supposed to be neutral says his nonsense.
Just let's pull it up now so we can read it. He says, "Good luck to the great people of Canada. Elect the man who has the strength and wisdom to cut your taxes in half, increase your military power for free to the highest level in the world, have your car, steel, aluminum, lumber, energy, and all other businesses quadruple in size with zero tariffs or taxes if Canada becomes the cherished 51st state of the United States of America. No more artificially drawn line from many years ago."
Oh, man, those Canadians are just living good, aren't they? Let's also talk about that they will have no health care. Let's say that. Yeah, that's a little problem. And I would like to see how the citizenship thing works out, right? So Trump is talking about if they become a state, then all of a sudden everything's cool. There's no tariffs. There's no nothing. But you've given up your sovereignty. I mean, can you imagine that in America? If some country, some entity said, hey, we're going to take you over. Can you imagine as Americans just how angry we would be? It'd be insane. It would just be bloody insane. And that's what this gentleman is boldly telling on social media the Canadians. Oh, vote to become a state. Okay. And I'm not going to put it into slavehood or anything like that, but you're giving up your sovereignty. You're giving up your national identity. Okay? And besides, they don't want to make baseball their national pastime. They love hockey. Okay? I'll tell you that right now. So Canadians went to the ballot box, and even though they had a 25-point lead in December, the Liberal Party won today. Mark Carney, he's the new prime minister. Well, he was the temporary prime minister. He took over from Trudeau, and he has won the country's federal election. Now, we're going to find out how big of a majority he has and what kind of coalition government. What happens over there is not necessarily like it is in America. In America, we pretty much just have two political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. Over there, they have like 6 parties that run, right? And literally, all of these parties win some seats. Like, let's say, the socialist, hypothetically, or the very, very conservative wing. They'll win throughout the province, throughout the country. They'll win a total of 6 or 8 seats, right? The Liberal Party will win somewhere like 140. Well, what happens is if you don't get to that 170, I think it's 172, if you don't get to that threshold, you have to form coalitions with these other governments. That's how it works in Israel. It works in London, in England. And what happens is you get a more diverse agenda, right? That if you want them to stick with you, if you want them to vote along party lines with you, you have to include things that maybe you typically wouldn't. Maybe a little more liberal, a little more conservative. So we're going to see how close they come to the 172. But it is one of the truly shocking events we have seen in political history that in literally 4 months, they have taken a 25-point deficit and have won the election. Kudos to you. Carney is a former central banker, and he led the wave of anti-Trump sentiment, and Trump just kept digging the hole right up to the end. You know, and I am interested in seeing what kind of negotiations go on here. You know, these negotiations, the White House put out today that we have 170 negotiations going on. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, said we have 25. They can't seem to get their lies straight. I don't know what's really going on. But Trump's decision to put a 25% duty on Canadian steel, aluminum, cars, and pharmaceuticals have shaken the business community in Canada. This is their moment to fight back. And at the end of the day, we need a friend. I mean, Trump is launching these tariffs against everybody. Who's our friend in this? Who's the country, I mean, other than El Salvador, that's making an egregious amount of money running this super prison that we supposedly can't get Kilmar Garcia back from? Who is our friend? I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you want to take on the whole neighborhood, the neighborhood's going to start forming coalitions to go against you. I mean, that's just what happens. Isn't that what happened in World War II? You know, Germany said, hey, we're gonna make a deal with Russia, and we're going to take on the rest of Europe because we don't want Russia coming back over the top from behind. And they did that, and then unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I'm glad they did because I'm glad they lost the war. You know, I'd hate to see Elon Musk in that little cute brown outfit. Well, I already have. That when they sabotaged or betrayed the agreement with Russia, and they said, now, you know what, we've already got Europe, we're just going to take Russia too. That ended up leading to their downfall, right? Well, that's what the United States under Trump is doing. He wants to have no allies, nobody. I mean, he's putting 100% tariff on that country that has only penguins. You know, Penguin Island. Jesus criminy, right? Madagascar. Oh, wow. Let's get them for 130%. What the hell are you thinking? Oh, my gosh. All right. Let's go to the next story, and let's talk about the Trump corruption. If you actually saw the short we did today, you might be up to speed on it. But I remember a more sincere time where we had political leaders who did their best not to profit from government. I remember Dan Quayle. He had a lot of money. And when he became vice president in 1992, he put all that money in a blind trust. And basically what it was is his fortune was in this blind trust, so he couldn't have the perception of making decisions or enforcing policies that would personally benefit him. Well, we've come a long way since then. So Trump, when he got elected in November, decided to roll out a meme coin. I don't know how much you know about crypto. I personally think it's like a Ponzi scheme. There's actually no value in it. The only way it goes up is if more people buy it, and then they sell it, and then more people buy it. There's a scarce, quote unquote, amount of meme coins, whatever that all means. There's no value to it. This is just my opinion. I understand the younger generation loves the crypto. Hey man, you go buy it, you go do you. Cool, man. But if I'm going to do something, I'm going to buy a stock that actually has a value, that's linked to an enterprise that's making money, that is profitable, that is generating revenue. Okay? See all these cool terms I'm using? That's from watching like 10 podcasts a day. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So Trump launched a coin because he controls how many coins there is. And he also put in a 75% administration fee that goes to his corporation for administrative issues. So basically what we've had is, and I'm going to use the example of Justin Sun, who was a crypto guy from Hong Kong, and he was under investigation by the SEC for fraudulent trading, and he bought, I believe, somewhere between $30 and $50 million in crypto coin. Well, basically what he did, let's just say it's $40 million. The first $30 million of that crypto coin purchase goes straight into administrative fees, aka Don Jr.'s pocket, Eric Trump's pocket, though I think he's too stupid to figure out what a pocket is. He's pretty much an idiot. And right there, it's a way to pay off the president, right? And in a shock, 2 months after he came in to office, the SEC decided to drop all the charges against Justin Sun. What a shock. Funny thing happened on the way to the Coliseum, right? So Trump has had the meme coin. I'm not going to get too deep in it, but the initial public offering expired last Wednesday. So they had to renew it. Basically, they had to roll it over into the next one. So now they got to get new investors. Oh no. What do we got here? It seems like Trump is trying to get people to buy the coin. 75%, remember, goes into his corporation, right? And he has offered a day of golfing and then a tour of the White House to the top 220 holders of the biggest average of his meme coin. I mean, basically it's saying whoever buys the most gets to interact with me. You get access to the president. So if you have a problem with the SEC, the DOJ, whatever you got, you get to meet the president. Maybe you can take care of it. I'm not saying you will get taken care of, but you know what? You have a hell of a better chance of getting it taken care of if you get to shake his hand, tell him it was a great birdie he had and how slim he looks and just how he defies aging. Yeah. Hope lightning doesn't strike you when you do that. But as we know, like with Zelensky the other day at the Vatican, flattery goes a long way. And I applaud Zelensky because he saved thousands of lives by kissing Donald Trump's hand, by getting on the knee, right? So the New York Times reports that the Trump meme coin website calls it the world's most exclusive invitation to have an intimate dinner with the president at his Virginia golf club and then a following tour at the White House. I'm assuming that the person who has the most meme coins maybe gets to spend the night in the Lincoln bedroom, right? So here's exactly what the website says. From April 23rd to May 12th, hold as much Trump coin as you can. Your average holding during this period will determine your ranking. The more Trump coin you hold, and the longer you hold it, keep going while we sell our stake so we can make a lot of money, the higher your ranking will be. Okay. I mean, what more do you have to say of this is the payoff, mother effer? This is where it comes down. You know, I got to tell you, kudos to Trump. Kudos to Trump. Because in the first administration, he was worried about making millions. Now he just upped the game. He said, let's take that M and change it out with a B. Let's make it billions. Because, hey, that's what we're going to do, right? Oh my gosh. 75% of whatever they get on this new infusion of cash into his meme coin is going into his pocket. And it is legal. I mean, really, how many Republicans, how many times did I see Fox News screaming from holy hell that Hunter Biden was on the boards of some of these companies in Russia and Ukraine, and he was making $200,000 a year, and this was the ultimate corruption because he had access to his dad, who at the time was vice president, and then at the other time when he was just thinking about running for president, and that was just over the line. That was just so corrupt, we can't even talk about it. It's so egregious. It's right here. These people are so bold. They're so abrasive that they're putting it in print. They're putting it on websites. Pay the cash and you get access to the president. Now, I'm not sure what the promise is here, but I'll tell you this, like I said earlier, you got a hell of a lot better chance if you're shaking his hand, telling him what a great guy he is, than if you're just out there trying to fight the DOJ, SEC, whoever. You know, to me, it's just disgusting. But you know what? The presidency is for sale, and Donald Trump is going to make as much money as possible. But remember this. Remember this. What we're seeing in the stock market with the futures, how The futures are being bought and sold at insane amounts right before he announces whether he's going to put a tariff on or remove a tariff, right? There's insider trading going on in this White House. There absolutely unequivocally is. I've even heard Peter Doocy from Fox News ask Carolyn Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, is there insider trading? She says, absolutely not. That would never happen. Okay. Remember this. In 4 years or 8 years or whenever, there's going to be a changing of the guard. If we take down the House, and we are going to take down the House in 18 months, we're going to get it back. I'm going to tell you what, they're going to be launching investigations and Trump isn't going to be able to stop it. Or if somehow we take over the Senate, the geography is a little difficult because of what's up in 2026. But, we could happen. If this president continues to crater, it is going to be reflected in the polls, in the voting. I mean, look how the Democrats overwhelmingly took to everything in 2008 when the economy cratered under George Bush. Obama won. I want you to try and get your head around this. In an era where if one party gets 52 out of the 100 Senate seats, that's considered a huge majority, right? Now they got 53. Well, back then we had 60. I remember we had 60 Democrats. So when people say, oh, well, we're not going to, it's hard. You don't know. And the great David Frum, who's a podcaster and he's a senior writer, I believe, or editor for The Atlantic. He does some brilliant stuff. He says, really, the stuff you're talking about now, when election time comes in 16 months or whatever, it could be totally different. And he talked about Canada, that the Conservative Party was just rolling. They were going to win a majority of the 107. They were going to get 172 seats easily. They were going to control the Canadian government. Now they're on the outside looking in. They are on the outside. And he says, you don't know how it can change in politics. And I think the first step we're going to get, Mike Johnson, that little goddamn weasel who runs the House, GOP, is saying, well, we're going to have the formations of a blueprint for the budget and the tax bill by Memorial Day. Okay, a month, huh? Let's see how that goes. The Senate is saying 4th of July. Maybe it's right, maybe it's not. But as Trump's numbers crater, let's see how many Republicans stick with him. Now, at the end of the day, are they going to put their political career on it? Especially if there's, quote, we don't know yet. I'm trying to be honest here. And I have been chastised in the last couple of days, rightfully so, that I'm making assumptions I don't know about. But I don't really give an F. That's why this is scorched earth. We're burning it all down here, right? But, you want $1 trillion so you can extend these tax cuts to the rich, to Trump's rich buddies. Well, where are you going to get the money? It's coming from one of three places. It's coming from the military, which we know they're not going to do because the Republicans aren't going to vote for that. Medicare and Social Security, the other two things. Let's see what happens. I mean, to me, it's just numbers. There's just no way around it. But, we're going to find out in a month. And Mike Johnson's going to find a way to F it up. It's going to be great. And I will tell you what, every night I'm going to say, hey, call your congressperson, call your senator, put pressure, because it does work. Even though they are in the majority, they are sensitive. They are running for election in 18 months. Actually, they're going to start next January. That's when we're going to see more of those town halls that they abort, right? All right, that's it for today. I just want to tell you I love y'all. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Like I said, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And hey, remember, we're all in this together. We're on the side of right. Let's stick together. We are united. We are of one goal, one love. I feel like a Bob Marley movie. We need another Bob Marley movie. I got to say the last one was pretty spectacular. All right, if you could, be cool, and we'll see you soon.